Hiya, I'm Emma. I'll just let you know a little bit about myself. I've just completed my law degree at the University of Leeds. And as you can imagine, law degree, lots of essays, lots of work, lots of reading. And without all the technology and all the services that the University of Leeds offer me, I definitely couldn't have got through final year. I use my iPad, my iPhone, laptops, computer clusters, laptop loan, all the services you wouldn't ever think you'd need. You just think a laptop would be the be-all and end-all of university life, but it's not. You need all of them. Even when I think about my first year at the University of Leeds, it was nowhere near as technology essential as it is now. In just a few years, everyone has become obsessed. It is partly due to iPhones and iPads and things like that, but even the university has had to adapt alongside this. Like, people have fights over like plug sockets, and people bring extension leads into the library, and the librarians are chasing them away, and so the university's had to adapt alongside. They've actually, well, I'll talk more about that later. I'll just go through my slides first. So the basic, the bare minimum, every student needs a laptop or a computer. It obviously is a requirement that all essays and work needs to be typed. That sounds really obvious, but I'm sure people would try and write with like feathers and quills and things. For me, a laptop's great for like on-the-go seminars, lectures, research. Obviously it's portable, but I don't know if it's just a mental thing, but I don't think PCs are past their sell-by date. I definitely write essays better on them. And in the new library that Leeds built, I was really pleased because it still included big personal computers. I was a bit scared they'd just assume that everyone needs laptops, but I don't know if it's just because I think like, oh, I'll sit in my bed with a laptop and then you fall asleep, but like if you're at a desk, you're a lot more, well, I find you're a lot more studious. We're really lucky at the University of Leeds as well because a lot of the departments have their own dissertation and research rooms, so you're not exactly fighting for space. They know if you're a final year student, you get your priority and you get computers and desk space, which is great. So email, this will probably sound really obvious, but having Wi-Fi everywhere just for email on the go is so important. It's not just students who are desperate for it, it's our tutors, our personal tutors, even the IT service desk. It is a big way of contacting for us, and if anything goes wrong, like, you're just straight on your email. It means you're not being rude, you're not having to make awkward phone calls or texts or anything. It's instant, so yeah, it's great. The Leeds Uni app is also a big deal. It wasn't there when I first came to university, but it's great, I love it now. There's loads of features on it. Obviously you get your email, your timetable, but there's also some quite cool features. There's a careers events app, so in the morning, say you've got a free, you can have a little look, see which law firms are coming down, if there's any interview technique workshops. So it's really good that everything's just in the palm of your hand. We've also got portable Blackboard. We can access it through computers and through the general virtual learning environment or the portal, but we can also get it on tablets, smartphones, that sort of thing. It's really good because it's got quite some nifty sections. There's Q&As, so you can post things to your classmates and people can get back to you. You can do it anonymously, like if you think it's a daft question, or if you're feeling a bit coy because you didn't go to the lecture. So it's a great little app to have on your phone or your tablet. Of course, Microsoft Word. Even people with Macs still get Microsoft Word. PowerPoint and OneNote. OneNote's great. It makes you really organised. I don't even have to try. Everything's interlinked without me even doing anything. It just syncs automatically. So any work I do in a seminar on my iPad, it's on my laptop by the time I get home, so it's great. It's also really good that iPads, well, at the university as well, we get our copies of Word, so I got Word free on my iPad and on my iPhone, so that's good. And it's just nice that everything's adaptable. You don't just have to go on your laptop to use your Word. There's loads of fun apps obviously on iPhones and iPads, like Quizlet and things. They're good revision tools, keeps you like busy. If you're ever waiting for the bus or anything like that, then you can just do a quick little quiz. You can make your own up as well. So it's not just like for tweeting your iPhone. Tablets I think are great for reading materials as well. I have a lot of journals to read. I think for my dissertation I've read 120. So it's good that they're not all paper copies. You're saving the trees, and obviously it's a little bit more accessible than looking around 120 journals. Social media. I agree a lot of it is procrastination based, but it's not all procrastination based. Facebook is great for group work. If you're not really that close with someone and you don't just want to ask for their number because it's a bit forward, but you're going to be in a group with them, or you've seen them in a seminar, it's a good way of reaching out. And group conversations on Facebook as well, you can just like ignore them for a bit and go back later, like when it's your time. If it's on your phone, it's popping up all the time, it's more distracting. Twitter's great for your social profile as well, especially with most law firms. Not even just law firms, a lot of big employers all have Twitter accounts, and it's great to get a social profile. You can get news probably faster than you do on news websites on Twitter, so it's good to always be up to date. The university has a really good career centre. They have their own Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, like you name it, they've got it, and every day it's posting events, workshops, if there's ever spaces free. It's instant, it's quick, it's easy, it's what students need. So the evolution of the library, I said earlier that the university has changed a lot even in just the few years I've been there. We've got a gorgeous library called the Brotherton. It does look like something out of Harry Potter, little wooden benches, it's really cold in winter, really hot in summer, but beautiful, absolutely gorgeous building. You feel clever just sitting in there. But the only downside is with something out of Harry Potter, it's probably not got 28,000 students worth of plug sockets. It just wasn't up to scratch. A lot of people do need to charge the laptop through the day, and although it was gorgeous if you've got a full battery on your laptop, at the end of the day, if you still need to go and do some work, it's a bit of a nightmare. Students, as I mentioned earlier, have war in exam time over plug sockets, like absolute war. Like they're going around scoping out whose battery is up the most to be like, yours at 90, mine's at 20, give me that plug socket. So it's a bit, it was needed, like changes were needed. Although we've got loads of computer clusters, some of them are 24-hour, which is fabulous. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of departments have their own computer clusters, which is obviously great because they're reserved specifically for those students. You've also got some sort of like airport style if you just need to print things off or send a few emails. But we did get a really big treat this year, and they opened the Laidlaw Library. Gorgeous building, really nice, millions and millions of plug sockets. Plug sockets as far as you can see. The Wi-Fi is great in there, there's a Cafe Nero, high demand book shelter, it's great. Obviously it's still got loads of books in it, which you need, but yeah, it really is suited for students' needs. They've even brought in double desks, so it's got a computer on one side and space for your work on the right. A lot of the time you have just a computer and you've only got a small little arrow, narrow space for you to work in, so that was good. It was good that people have gone into the effort of looking at how students work, the spaces they need, because computer desks, they used to just have a computer in, but now they've included plugs because they know that people need their tablets or iPhones, or sometimes they need secondary screens. So it was good that people have really taken the time to look at what the modern day student needs. So the development of technology, whilst I've been there, when I first came, email was a bit like 1990s, but now it's great, really, really good, really, really fast, accessible. You've got your app on your phone, so it doesn't have to channel all the way through your normal email accounts, which is great. Your reminders sync with your event calendars, so you get notifications every day, whether it's a deadline, a careers event, a seminar, anything, you'll get your reminders. We also have a Leads for Life online portfolio. It's like a CV, so when you first come, you set it up, and whenever you win an award or you do something exciting or you go somewhere interesting, if you just fill in your Leads for Life portfolio, it's a great central place when you're writing job applications and you're applying for schemes and work experience. It's really helpful, and it's also good because you do it without thinking. With a CV, I think it does seem daunting to a lot of students, but you can just get right in there. You've got a whole list of things. Normally you've got too much to say from your Leads for Life CV, so that's great, and that's with you forever. And again, it's handheld, it's on the go, so you can just go on your iPad or your phone if you're doing a quick application and you've got loads of points you can add to it. With the university learning environment, I unfortunately was quite poorly in my first year, and I was in hospital with kidney infection, and it sounds awful, but I could have, if I wanted to, have got my work and I wouldn't have ever been behind. And I think that's amazing that it doesn't separate anyone, because learning materials are accessible to anyone, anywhere. If someone needs to go home for a family reason or whatever, they're not going to miss out, they're not going to jeopardise their education, and I think that's so vital that you shouldn't have to isolate anyone who can't attend every lesson or seminar. It's the real world, and sometimes people have got other commitments, so that was great. We also this year trialled in the law school recording lectures. There was a big fear among staff that students wouldn't turn up. They just thought, oh, if they're videoing and recording the sound and uploading them, no one's going to come. That was not the case at all. The lectures were still as full as they normally would have been, and students just used them for revision. To be honest, we were quite sad about the lecturers who chose not to get their lectures recorded, because when it came to exam time, we had so much better coverage of the subjects that had recorded the lectures, because even if you write at the speed of lightning, you're not going to get everything down. So it was amazing to get that second learning experience, hearing it in lessons and writing it down, and then coming back to the lecture at a later date and having a refresh. It was really, really helpful. Sally Bogg is at the helm of the IT service desk. She's great. She's always there for she's always there for a helpful ear. She always wants to know what students are thinking. And I think the problem is when students get to university, they seem to think that they shouldn't speak to lecturers and staff at the university because they think that they won't really care, but that could not be more the opposite. Sally could not want to know more about the things students need for IT. She's really tech savvy, but she still is aware that her needs might be different to students, and I think that's so essential in an IT environment. I know everyone from my great auntie who's got an iPad, that's great, but her needs are still going to be different to mine, and I think it's great that people are so open about the evolution and the need for IT. It's not just as well for repairs. I've gone there for worries when I wasn't sure how to, this sounds obvious, but I didn't know how to double space. No one had ever shown me how to put double space lines between lines, and that's how I had to submit all my essays. And it's really nice that you don't feel intimidated, you can just pop in and have a chat. So yeah, no, it's great, really, really good. But I'm so shocked at how much the university has changed. And if I came back in a few years, or if I ever have children and they go in 10, 15 years, I will be really excited to see what's going on then. Technology is evolving really, really quickly, and fortunately I went to a university which tried its hardest to keep up. That's it.
Emma, thank you. Fantastic. And don't go. Don't go. I think I speak for the world of Twitter. She's been going bonkers for your talk. Really refreshing and honest and fantastic. So I'm sure there's going to be quite a few questions. So raise your hands, get in there first, and our roving mic people will be coming round.
you. Yes. I think Facebook should probably say student orientated, but I only say that because I mentioned about our Q&A area. Whenever we put things up on the virtual learning environment, if it's, you can, as I say, you can answer it anonymously, and a lot of students dive in, but also lecturers dive in, or seminar leaders, and they say, oh no, I think you've got a bit confused, or have you thought about this angle, or have you read this article? And I think it's just a bit more formal, because at the end of the day, we do have, you can get really good relationships with your lecturers, but I still think Facebook should be, it's much more informal, and I think it's nice to have that separation. So I really do endorse group discussions involving teachers, if you could do that in another format, but I think Facebook's probably a bit too informal. You should get it though, honestly, it's so helpful. Even during essay times, when people don't fully understand the question, it stops lecturers getting bombarded as well. Thank you. So we've got a few main libraries and then lots of clusters. The clusters are all silent, so all the computer rooms, they're all quiet study places, and most of the departments have their own versions. Then there's also public ones which are 24-hour. The main libraries, the Harry Potter-esque library, the Brotherton, that's got big quiet space in the middle, loads of little rooms going off it, that's just quiet space. The computer room next to that's quiet, but then there's a group space next to it. There was need for more group workspace, just because most of the students are really respectful, so they don't even want to whisper really. So when they built the new library, the Laidlaw Library, they made, it's called airport lounge seating. So on the first floor when you walk in, there's lots of tables with plug sockets in the middle, and there's even group work rooms, there's rooms with TVs in them for group work, and then upstairs there's silent study and normal study on the next 3 floors. So that was a really good balance, because I don't think until then we'd never had such a large good designated group work room. We've had group space, but it was just sort of the areas of the library that were a bit tatty, and they thought, oh, well, people can eat their lunch in there. It was only one, to be fair, but now it's great, and it's what we needed, definitely, because every year I've had group work and it's never been easy to find a space. So yeah, definitely. I think as long as they're easily recognisable from students, so say if they had a lanyard on, it wouldn't necessarily have to be a t-shirt, but I think sometimes you might get a little bit confused, oh, do you work here, if they were just dressed the same, if they weren't stood behind the desk, because obviously the IT service desk are very busy, they've got places to be, so I think as long as they were recognisable from the students, I think it's fine. I don't think it'd have to be just a t-shirt, but perhaps on induction week or something, when all the freshers come, if there were t-shirts for that, just so that freshers knew that they were the people they could ask. No. Yeah. Yeah. On that note though, at the end of term, a girl was taking up a plug socket to boil a kettle in the library, and I had to, and I said, I was like, you've got two plug sockets and one of them's with a kettle. She was like, yeah. And I was like, well, you're not boiling your kettle now, so can I use your plug socket? She was like, okay, yeah. And I obviously went and told someone, like, there's a girl boiling a kettle in the library. So I think people do just try and push the limits, like, they will just push until they're told no. So, unfortunately, yeah. I definitely think you need a physical presence. I think not only does it make it more approachable, but there's also a general point where you can go to ask your questions. I think sometimes when you just get told to ring another line, it's like it just becomes less and less personable, especially in this day and age when everyone just seems to be doing that. It's much less face-to-face contact. And I think it's great that they do have lovely, friendly faces who just want to help you. So I definitely would recommend, even if it wasn't as many hours as you'd like it to be. I just think it's great to have someone physically there to answer your questions, because sometimes with computer queries it's really hard to explain over the phone what you mean. So yeah, I definitely love the physical presence. Students love that.
I'm very conscious that we offer the counter where you can come in person. We offer email, web, and telephone. Not that many students phone us. Do you think it matters from a student perspective that we're not offering the ability to raise tickets using Facebook, Twitter, the internet, and whatever else? Do you think that these traditional methods are good enough for raising inquiries?
I think they're good, but I always think you can do better. And I think, especially in this day and age with social media and the way people are so dependent on it, I think it's an amazing way for you to get, like, jazz up more business, basically. I think the flow of things, especially in the beginning, in periods at the start of term or Freshers Week, when people are all coming in and you just follow all the accounts, so you'll follow, say, Bristol University IT or Bristol University Freshers, you just follow all the groups, and especially other groups will retweet you and put extra things on Facebook and say, oh, do you know about our IT service desk, do you know what they're offering? So I think there's so many other ways you can channel your services, and you've just got to make yourself, for students, as approachable as possible.